What up? It's your boy KJ, and we are currently in St. Thomas. And today we're going to talk about Black history from the U.S. Virgin Islands. It's actually a really amazing history. I was walking up the street and I asked the guy if I could find any Black history. He said, go to Fort Christensen. I did. Of course, I did the back research, went on Google and ChatGPT and all of that. But I like to verify things. That makes sense. So, people from Denmark picked up slaves off of what's called the Aquamu Gold Coast, present day Ghana. And when they picked them up, they fucked up just like they did in the Americas. And what they did was they grabbed prisoners of war opposed to actual slaves. And when you do that, you fuck up. We'll go ahead and tell you how. The beautiful thing about the St. Thomas revolts, and anytime charge was taken, 99% of the time, it was a woman that took charge. The woman that said, I'm sick of this and these niggas taking too long. I'm with it. I'm with it. You be the change you want to see. In 1733, a lady named Queen Brefu. They give the ladies the name Queen because in history it's to honor them. So her name was Queen Brefu. She led a revolt that killed slave owners in 1733. It was the first revolt and the largest revolt. It was 6 months. They called it a revolt or a slave insurrection. Sound like a war to me. Sound like a war to me. Sound like you thought the niggas was gonna be soft and fucked around and found out. So after months of war, losing lots of men, having to pay a lot more money than you thought you'd spend to go get slaves from the Gold Coast, they realized we don't like these slaves. They took them back. They was like, nope, we need to take them back. And they took them back to Ghana. And that's how the war actually lasted as long as it did. Because when they got back to Ghana, they was like, do you know what these niggas are doing? And the people in Ghana was like, I had no idea. I thought they was just gonna have you sweeping floors and shit. I didn't know they was gonna be having you like I didn't know this shit was gonna go down like this. I said, yes, it went down like this. Let's go. And they fought. And they fought and they fought and they fought and they fought and they fought. And then eventually the people from Denmark, along with the help of the French, won that war and they have slaves now. They took the slaves down to St. Thomas, and in St. Thomas, they began to run sugar plantations. Sugar plantations obviously making money because you're not paying the people that's making the fucking sugar. So they're doing well. And while doing well, in about 1848, the slaves looked around, and just like on A Bug's Life, and just like in Haiti, it was like, it's a lot more of us than it is of these niggas. That's all I can see. I see that there's a lot more of us than there is of them. I almost fell right there. Okay, let me catch my balance. And in this, they decided to do something extremely smart. What they did, led by a man named General Buddo, Buddho, Bud Ho. This man told everybody, hey, this is what we're going to do. We're going to group up hundreds of thousands of us, talking to the slaves. And he said, we're going to group up and we're going to get deep as hell. And we're going to walk right up to General von Scholten's office. That's what his name was, von Scholten. That sounds like an evil nigga. And they marched up to General von Scholten's head capital and they said, you got till 4 o'clock to free us or we're going to burn this bitch down. I promise you, this is exactly what they said. Exactly what they said. And he was like, wait a minute, hold on. And so now he's surrounded by niggas that are not very happy. And they saying they about to burn this shit down. And he don't know what to do. So he says, hey, all right, bet, look, y'all free. They was like, what? He's like, y'all free. Y'all free. I ain't got time for this. Y'all are free. And he stood up and he freed them right there. But you know them white people with they slippery shit. So basically, he said that they were free because basically they would keep their jobs, they would stay enslaved, and this is the white slippery shit that I was telling you about. They changed the fact that instead of paying you in money, that silly stuff, we'll just pay you in goods, like we were before. And so they stayed working on the plantations for goods and service, being low paid and working very, very long wages. And obviously being treated like fucking slaves. And at some point in time, they got angry. That's when more queens turned the corner, stood up and said, yo, this some bullshit. 1848, Queen Mary, Queen Agnes, and Queen Matilda led a revolt where they said, we ain't giving these niggas no ultimatum. We ain't giving these niggas no time. Burn it. and they start burning plantations. It's called the Fire Burn of 1848, led by women. I went to the museum, I found a picture of it. Bam, there it is right there. So you can know I'm not fucking lying. After the plantations began to burn, the slaves began to chant dollar for dollar. Tell me that ain't some real shit right there. Dollar for dollar, because after being after years and years of being given goods, and then they were paid in Mexican dollars, but the goods were being sold in silver, which meant that they were being undercut tremendously. They weren't able to work. They were fined for leaving plantations. They were put under horrible work conditions and told that it was freedom. So they decided to burn some shit. And so they burned it all. And along with them burning it, guess what? God said, I got you. I'll cool it off. Hurricanes, 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 hurricanes. And at that point, Denmark was like, this is too much work. These slaves don't listen. The island got a lot of hurricanes. We are going to do what the rest of the world did. We're going to sell our slavery-filled country to the United States. And then they pretty much was in our boat. The results of slavery. One thing we should understand is just they like to make it seem as if slavery was something we accepted. Slavery was something people just went with. But they had to earn that shit. They had to earn that. Slaves fought. Slaves fought a lot. And this is Black History I Have Never Learned. I am your host, KJ Lee.